Hello everybody, Tall Paul here with Left-Handed Knife Reviews, and today we are going to be reviewing the Honey Badger Large Flipper, model number HB1001. Let's get right into it. So starting off with our facts and figures, this is just over a 3.5-inch blade in 8CR13 MOV steel. The handle is made of FRN, which is fiberglass reinforced nylon, and measures in at 4.5 inches. At the time of this review, this knife sells for $36 on Blade HQ. Alright, I'm going to put a couple items on the table for size comparison, and the actual dimensions of the knife will appear on your screen. First up, we have our unsharpened Dixon Ticonderoga pencil, followed by our Ontario Rat Model 2, and we will do our Spyderco Tenacious. Next up, we'll talk about our experience while using this knife. So in Larry and mine experience, the Honey Badger is okay to use. The FRN is textured with this honeycomb pattern, which provides some grip, and it's also contoured, which really leads to a nice feel in the hand. The size of the handle gave us enough room to hold it a few ways, either holding onto the handle fully, kind of choking up and using this finger choil in the front, or just kind of holding it for some delicate or light tasks like you would a chef's knife. The edges of the FRN, as well as some of the jimping along the back, is a little bit sharp, so it did lead to some discomfort, especially in the beginning before it was broken in the hand. Let's move on to successes. So some of the things that the Honey Badger did succeed at was the blade is a very nice blade. It cuts well and it had a decent factory edge right out of the box. For the price, this knife had a really good action with the flipper tab. And also, this knife was a very good size for me and Larry, but this knife also comes in this model just smaller. This is the large, there's a medium and a small, and I believe the difference in price for a mall is $2, so it goes from 36 to 34 to 32, which is nice. And the last thing the Honey Badger succeeded at was just hand feel. It did feel really good in our hand, and it was comfortable to use, which was nice. So let's talk about what the Honey Badger struggled with. The Honey Badger really struggled with the finish right out of the box. The FRN along the edges, as well as along the honeycomb, did have some sharp points out of the box. Most of the sharp edges on the honeycomb sections have dulled through our review process. A couple of spots still remain incredibly rough. Right back here where the jimping is still incredibly sharp, and when you go to deploy the knife, your finger basically runs down these ridges, which is not comfortable at all. And the unfinished nature of the knife did make the knife have a much larger presence in our pocket. You'd reach in there for something else, you'd clip an edge of it, and you'd be like, oh yeah, my Honey Badger's there, and it just bit me. The other thing we struggled with this knife is the price. This is a $36 knife. For $36, you get a pretty good flipper, an 8CR13 MOV. If you want to invest another $8, you can go up to something like the Civivi Praxis. Similar size blade, similar size handle, better steel at 9CR18, and the fit and finish on that knife is, we believe, leaps and bounds above this one. Let's move on to points of note. Points of note are neutral items that fall between successes and struggles that we want to mention. The blade is a little bit of a thicker stock. It's not as slicey as some of the blades that we've dealt with previously. Also, the detent is very strong. This knife deploys well with the flipper tab, but if you're looking to use the hole to like flick, it's incredibly resistant to that. I tried loosening the pivot on this. If you loosen the pivot, you just end up with a lot of blade play, and it doesn't help it at all. Also, out of the box, this knife was dripping in oil. It needed a cleaning before it was really serviceable. There was just a ton of oil in the knife. And the last thing to note is the pocket clip. The pocket clip is a nice deep carry clip. It actually uses a system that I haven't seen yet on a knife, where the clip actually kind of goes into the scales. It's a cool little thing, and it definitely makes it more recessed than clips that I've dealt with in the past. But the ramp was a little bit small for both Larry and I, and we had difficulty getting it on to our pants. All right, let's hop over to everything that's left, where we talk about everything left-handed about this knife. Overall, the Honey Badger is definitely a left-handed friendly knife. It has a two-way reversible pocket clip. You're only allowed to do tip-up carry. It is a liner lock knife, so you're going to run into the normal lefty liner lock problems, but this is a fairly good and prominent liner lock, and you're not going to have any problems getting your finger in there to manipulate the lock. If you are looking to use the thumb hole to deploy the knife, the cutout for the thumb hole on the right-hand side gives you full view and full purchase on the hole, as well as a little ramp here leading up to that hole. On the left-hand side, you get none of that. It actually cuts off part of the hole right here, and there is no ramp or anything, so you have to get into the hole, which is difficult. All right, let's talk about our final recommendations and concluding thoughts. We recommend this knife for somebody who's looking for a budget beater knife that has, a taller blade and a thicker profile and doesn't necessarily want to make that $10 jump to something like the Praxis. The experience for both a left and a right-handed person on this knife will be incredibly similar, provided that you're using the flipper tab. Larry and I also do not recommend this knife for EDC tasks. The pocket feel and the finishing don't really lend well to repetitive use. But if you're looking for something to throw in like a glove compartment or a toolbox, this could definitely work for you. Thank you very much for joining me today. Be sure to subscribe for more great knife content. We'll see you next time.